using complexity on LinkedIn, you'll be a whole bunch of people downloading complexity. Complexity is an AI search engine implemented by some of the top leaders. Even recommended this Twitter post or X post about 6 months ago. You can take a look at complexity. So it's just a kind of it should be easy to do. Switch my share screen. Complexity. What's up if you're willing to download complexity? So here I'm going to tell you a true story. All my kids, as soon as I downloaded this, I have 6 children, 3 boys, 3 girls. Everyone, my daughter was doing the doctorate, and my daughter was doing the skills, university, some of them were and some of them were still in high school, so 6. When I got complexity, I told them I to download complexity. So my wife has complexity. She goes to a family group chat and puts in information. What she says is, complexity told me this. So I sometimes joke with her that she's married to complexity and not me. Because she talks about complexity more than she talks about me in our family communication. So you can take a look at complexity. It's an AI search engine that gives you 5 question prompts at the end. You give you an answer and 5 question prompt in complexity. So it's quite easy to use and we'll work with a little bit. If you've seen this, this is ChatGPT. So this is ChatGPT inside of ChatGPT. So when you log into ChatGPT, your membership in ChatGPT, you can go to something called Playground. It's a backend part of ChatGPT, and you can see all of this on here. So you can look at the models of ChatGPT that are being used. ChatGPT, create your own system and structure for ChatGPT. Things like ChatGPT generation text to speech, speech to text. So speech to speech is you can text and you can voice to speak over your text. On ChatGPT, listening predictions of ChatGPT. If you keep going down, you get to assistants. You use assistants all the time. So with assistants in ChatGPT, I can go in and create a virtual assistant. A virtual assistant will allow me to solve a single task in ChatGPT. Write a paper, create a workshop, build a presentation, generate an image, make a video, whatever I want, in whatever format I want. And I can use something called prompt engineering to customize and refine the process. So that's all in ChatGPT. We don't have a lot of time today, so I can't show you all these things, but you see best practices down here. Let me just see. Foundations here. Practices, prompt engineering, action these practices. So today, this workshop, I'm going to teach you some prompt engineering. Okay. It's about best practices. The most common 2 types of production best practices are used to what's called chain of thought. So trying chain of thought analysis and systems. We'll talk a little bit about that. And how about sentiment understanding? Spend some talking or thinking about sentiment understanding. So, sentiment understanding is how to understand what people are saying, thinking, and doing, which is very good for products, for sales, for other kinds of things. It's ChatGPT. This is also in ChatGPT. To change. Oh, so it shows the backend system of ChatGPT. GPT is only a very, very small slice of the OpenAI. This is the cookbook, it's called. So this shows you all of the things that programmers around the world are doing right now in the system behind the scenes on ChatGPT. Does that make sense? So this can tell you types of things that are going on. And it's called the cookbook. It's the way people are ChatGPT to create new things. So if you're to computer science, if that's your thing, this is a space to go to and take a look at what's being developed behind the scenes. Okay. I'm not sure if this will change. So I'm going to wait a second because I think I've got it right. Let's see if this changes. Oh. So John, John, Johnny. So I'm just giving a second. So I'll get you. So generally, that sounds good. So sign volunteer. Two questions. Okay. Something today. Topic of the book is going to be. So, I'll use that theme. Thanks. So, it's more specificity. So you see here, so we want it's okay. So, I apologize. But I see this a little bit. If you come up in a second, I'll give you the topic here. I'll show you. It's because it's not a following. Following? Not a following. Okay. So, for sentence, see that? It's going to be a little slow. So accept that sentence. Click accept. Second sentence. I'm going to click accept that sentence too. The sentence. Sentences. So you have to bear with me. It's a little slow on getting it. The computer, it's not slow. It's just slow here. Okay, if I walk around, phones. Presentation soon, don't worry. So what Jen does is it creates sentence by sentence. See, like accept that. I can accept that sentence, right? Or I can say try again. And sentence until it gets the sentence I want for that part of that group. So it's not the same as ChatGPT. So ChatGPT, you enter something that gives you the whole paper. This does is it allows you to select. So you're much more writing paper. You're just not writing the specific words. You're still making sure the ideas that are conveyed are your ideas. Right? But it generates the sentences themselves. And you get to a year. So it's funny. Show so, presentation. Looks good. Um, ChatGPT on your phone, like, what's your ChatGPT? All right. So I use it every day. What's your when you got farther in the presentation? I'm late. So okay. Let's go to my PowerPoint presentation. We'll do slide 2. I'll just let you know where we're going with it. I'll show you Jen another time. So. It's the way people live. If you keep your homes, they could then go to climates, they could cook their food. We can junk. Does that make sense? 21st century, the 20th century, what are some GPTs? Electricity is a GPT. It changes the way the whole world operates once electricity is discovered and starts to be used. GPTs, in the 21st century GPTs. So mobile phones was one GPT. In fact, when I traveled, I will find the story. I was traveling in Kenya, which mobile phones not here. So a bunch of these sad boys. You know, saying,
long robes. They live out in the countryside. The way people think.
Students in a series of physics classes. They assigned half of the classes professor-led tutoring sessions, and half the class to receive virtual AI tutoring. Okay. can tell you what happened in the research because I'll tell you that later. But technology now is significantly impacting the professors. On Sunday, 2 days ago, I was in Tianjin, China, so I traveled a lot. I visited a company called Fly Tech. Fly Tech is an AI education and translation company, and I bought some of their products. But Fly Tech has a machine that's a big printer. And the machine, if I'm a professor, I can put handouts of graded assignments in the top of the projector, and it scans all my handwritten notes. I can take all the exams for 50, 100, 1,000 students, put them in the computer, it's all the handwritten assignments, and it grades them out in red ink, exactly the way I would have graded it. Small out the grade, and the automatically uploads your grade into the spreadsheet for the students in the class. All the grading will show me a class. It was a math class, about 5 or 6 pages of an exam, and we went through about 30 students, and it graded the exams in about 5 minutes. Graded. Changing the way universities, the way high school students think and learn today. Significant impact. And universities right now have a difficult time because they're simultaneously trying to operate two types of institutions. A regular physical face-to-face institution like this, and a virtual institution that operates with online classes and technology, like what we're trying to do today in this presentation. This is exactly the challenge facing universities. How do we operate in this environment and also operate in a virtual environment simultaneously? Places like Japan, there's not many people left. That's a lot of people. Europe, North America is starting to change. And what we've got is a lot of people in the developing world, Southeast Asia, South America. That's changing the world of higher education. Budget pressures and cost escalations, expectations for research money, expectations to operate universities at high levels, economic shifts, capacity imbalances. What's that mean? Simple capacity imbalance. If you have a country with the world's largest number of tech graduates who are coders, it doesn't require anyone to do coding anymore. That's what we're like in the world's largest number of software coders can code using AI without knowing languages. It's in the world. That's what a capacity imbalance is. All these people that are trying to do one thing, something totally different. Those people do. Companies, the economies, what we those kinds of structures. What can change and how do they do that? The last is labor market shifts and expectations. Not only do we have influences, but the expectations of our university graduates and their parents. The kinds of jobs the students are going to get, the kinds of people they're going to marry, the kinds of your age and maybe a little bit older than you has lots of pressure. I don't know if you feel it. Pressure, right? Get the right job, get the right education, find the right husband, get the right house, have the right kids, they get the good education. Massive pressure and massive expectations, right? And expectation pressure pushes onto universities. How do we satisfy those needs in a market that has these high expectations? Universities have to think, and this is, I'm a psychologist, I'm not a technologist. This is an innovation wheel. See different layers and levels. This is a good way of thinking about a business or thinking about even technology. Innovation wheel defines the basic forms of innovation into 3 types. You can innovate the experience people have, configuration of what you offer, and you can offer itself. Now, one thing that I teach innovation, I would say, It's different types of innovation. Product itself. Performance. Does that make sense? Really good example, something like Amazon. Amazon didn't create new products. What they created was a great experience. Fast, convenient, easy, cost. Thinking about innovation here, courses we offer, what programs we offer. We don't spend enough time thinking about innovation around here. How do we improve your programs? How do we improve programs? How do we create more experiences for students? How do we make processes that are more flexible and adaptive for the future? This is also true of companies and organizations. Education will by 2030 will be a $10 trillion industry. This was done in 2018. They talked about 5 scenarios. This is a big data called Holding IQ. And Holding IQ talks about different industries. And they projected 5 scenarios for university education by 2030. 2018, we're projecting forward. 5 were education as unit, as usual. Universities teaching classes like this. Rising regional universities like in China, North America. Urban giants, universities that are delivered all around the world through giants like MOOCs. We'll talk about MOOCs in a second, massively open learning courses. Peer-to-peer learning. Peer-to-peer learning says we get rid of universities altogether. From phones, social media, information received knowledge. Does that make sense? The first scenario is called global revolution. Revolution is a scenario, I've got it here, says that technology radically transforms education. Changes the very nature of education as we have it today. And this is the description of virtual revolution. By 2030, universities will have adopted virtual tutors, virtual mentors, and virtual advisors. Some universities have developed classes where faculty or assessed learning or a competency-based system. Credentials can be ported from one university to another by using a virtual credit recognition portal that functions using blockchain models. I already have colleagues and people in the industry that are using the blockchain models of credential verification and transfer across universities. So this is happening right now. Chain systems to do this. The dominant model clearly changes from what is being taught to what is being learned and measuring competencies. One of the things that's really important to understand is measuring competencies becomes the change agent in university education. Because if we can measure competencies, we know what the competencies are, we know it has to be measured. What can we do? Specifically, what you have to learn to be successful in the industry. What can we do? Information. Programming. Does that make sense? Exactly what you have to learn from the university degree. And use AI to measure what it has achieved. The future of higher education, 2015, one teaching up higher education on the world access education. Accessing higher education systems. And down here, this 1 billion people is closer to almost 2 billion people with untapped need. This creates new market opportunities for those in higher education to seek out new types of learning for students. MOOCs are growing. MOOCs are massively open courses. Right? plus million students studying in 1,000 courses around the world. Today, receive 1,500 full credentials using massively open courses without going to university. That's just happened today. Most of that transition has happened through the pandemic period. One thing I don't think people understand is that the pandemic transformed how much technology is now used in education and in industry today. It accelerated the development of technology being integrated into all forms of systems. Show this. This is a slide which shows the population of people in different parts of the world and the type of education that needs to be received. And you see the center is secondary high school education. And you can look at from, say, 2010 to 2020, 2030, up to 2050. Look at some of the numbers. Look at Africa from 2020. Africa, by even 2030, would double the number of secondary and use triple the number of post-secondary university students. Makes sense? Research has shown that to keep up with the pace of need for university education, we want to build university, hold about 50 to 75,000 students every day. Makes sense? Around the world to give the capacity that's there in the higher education system. So around the world, massive capacity, massive change. Measurement as distinct from education is critical. Moving from measurement or using university, this is what I taught, to is the critical transition. I'm quickly going through things. So, we're going through this that should be 2022, not 2002. ChatGPT is released. It's large language models. What are large language models? I simplify. If you computer science, I'm really going to simplify large language models. Large language models use trillions of data points of information to predict the next most logical word in a sequence of words. So when ChatGPT creates a paper for you, it's doing is the logical word that should appear in a series of sentences. And it does that so well that it looks like a person actually wrote that information. Does that make sense? Well, it's not perfect. No one should be in the ChatGPT generated paper. You should be editing, looking at, revising, rewriting, adding references. There's lots of things you can do. ChatGPT can give you a really good auto-generated paper as a starting point. Right? It can be used. But remember, use the neural net. The neural net makes what it's trying to do. So if you get to the stages of the mind, you're trying to learn behavior. Starting with chess games. What affects moving chess games? How games operate, and the way people think about those games. So one of the things that's critically important to understand about ChatGPT or AI is the human brain as the basis for understanding the origin of these points of data. For example, I'm not able to prompt engineering from someone with a computer science background because I'm a psychologist. And it's using trillions of data points created by people, websites, information, articles, books, to generate information. If you understand people, you understand how to prompt engineer your information. So I'm going to show you some prompt engineering tools, and we'll try to do this. 6 stages to prompt engineering. We'll have a 7th in a sec. What do you look like? First, you need to start with an instruction that is actionable and responsible. Words like write, create, organize, structure, plan. You need to tell the ChatGPT what you want. Write etc. Next. 2,000 word research paper with references for a university graduate. speech, a 1 hour lesson plan with interactive exercises, an image that describes. So the second part of prompt engineering is you to be very specific about what you want the output to be and instruct the model to produce that output. Define the audience. Professors, the faculty and staff of Trinity Western University, for a professor who specializes in cognitive science, neuroscience, grade 10 students. ChatGPT will write, okay, for the audience that you tell it to write for. If you tell it, I want this to be written for grade 10 students for me to use in the classroom, you will write lesson plan information for grade 10 students. If you say write it for a set of professors at a symposium, it's best to write it for that group of present professors. But if you don't tell it what to do, you won't get good output. 4. Include specifics. Notes, examples, important directives. Include research on emotional intelligence in the Chinese context. Make sure to include the article by Jones and Smith. 5 or 6 articles. Make sure to use the article by Jones and Smith, Polo, Watson, and put all the dates of the articles in and tell them what articles to look for, and it will look for those articles and use those articles in the paper. You give it clear direction, and better generated result. If you want to highlight an example, the example is in the Chinese newspaper here. That violates privacy laws or breaches on the UN Declaration of Human Rights. You can want specific directive what the output is going to be. Next. Persona. So this one, give an example. Dr. Philip Rose, Vice President of English and Global Economic Partnerships, Trinity Western University in Vancouver. How do I put that in if I want it to write a speech for me? What's it going to do? It's going to do what? It's going to find that. Children, it's going to know my children, it's going to know presentation I speak around the world. I have lots of presentations on them. It's going to find the videos, it's going to find the presentations, it's going to find the papers I've written. Does that make sense? It's going to write it like I would write it, because it's going to look at my stuff and for the words, it's going to predict based on what I use. Does that make sense? It's going to give a period, but me. So I got that speech, I go, wow, this sure sounds like me. It's ChatGPT wrote speech for me, the way I speak. Find when I use a ChatGPT speech, I'll find the rhythm and the cadence is the way I speak. It's quite easy for me to use the speech directly on ChatGPT. For a student, for a lawyer, anything. The better it will customize for you. Set the tone. Academic, simple, basic, and good tone. Argumentative, persuasive, be critical. Right? So you want to set the tone of what you want this to look like. This is 7th. Let's get to make it sound human. You can tell ChatGPT to use two famous quotes, use 5 famous quotes, use a quote from use a quote from 2 quotes from make sure the quote from speech. You can add anything you want to make it sound more human personalized. Ask it to make mistakes. Put 2 grammatical errors in spelling mistake. Ask it for mistake so that it looks like ChatGPT couldn't have written it. You can ask it to use real life common examples. Does that make sense? The point of prompt engineering is the structure with the steps of the output. Here's the research. This past year, 2024 research project was conducted by 2 professors, Gregory Keston and Kelly Miller, 194 physics students. The study Half the classes with live tutors, like like live class tutors, and half the class with virtual tutors. Here's what we found. Ready? Students with virtual tutors perform 20% better in the physics class than students with live tutors. They got better grades. Second, students in physics class with virtual tutors twice as much material in the same amount of time as the students who have live tutors. Interesting? Third, students with virtual tutors express significantly more satisfaction with their tutors than the live tutors. So the question is why? So they found live tutors are better. Students look better, they get better grades, and they're happy with their classes. So why? So let me ask you, does anyone think they're wrong? Because they're so sure why.
A live class, maybe at that time. So you have to attend a live class. Maybe at that time they're not inclined to attend the class. Maybe they have something else, so they're too tired to attend it. So having it virtual gives them a means to shift their schedule according to that and take it up whenever they want.
Good. So that it's more customizable. It's more personal to the learning, right? So one of the things we find with virtual support is that it's more personalized for the learner. Anything else? See, I've got the results and say, well, this is the one. Don't ask a question. Tutor doesn't get it first time. It gives you an answer, you go, that's not what I was looking for. You can easily find that answer once and again, and you don't have to wait a week or 3 days or till tomorrow for your email to be done. Does that make sense? What else? This is one question, especially in physics with virtual tutor, right? Who cares about anything before virtual tutor? It's satisfying the needs when they're satisfied. So how many of you have ever studied, had a question in the middle of studying something, you don't have an answer. You've got a tutorial tomorrow, or at least the tutor tomorrow. And by the time the tutorial tomorrow, you kind of still read the question, you're not sure exactly what context it is in. Does that make sense? You lost it. You lost the learning moment. Virtual tutors can personalize the responses for that learning moment for each student. So here's the results. Virtual tutors are available 24/7. Studying, it's fine if you study in soccer or football practice. So you have something to your advanced performance and you can't make the tutoring session. They're available 24/7 to help you. Second, virtual tutors respond to questions in real time. I mean, that's your response, right? Responses can be curated. I don't get the response I want. Ask them again and again and again and again and get responses in real time. You're not waiting until the next day to see the tutor or waiting for them to respond to a chat or respond to an email message. You're getting the help when you need it. Right? And fifth, third, there are some questions to ask a virtual tutor. And fifth, AI tutors self-learn. So they're responding to all the students in the class, right? But it's AI. So AI is using the data that's being generated to constantly learn the responses. So let's say you're the first person to ask a question. You curate that question, you ask over and over and over and over and over, and you get to the response you like. Does that make sense? Is learning from your asking questions to get to the real answer. This person might get to that real answer in 2 questions. And the next person who asks the same question in the class might get to it in 1. That makes sense? The AI system is self-learning as it goes through the process of responding to students in the class. This is why. Future of robot revolution for universities. I see these types of things happening. AI for student advising is already happening. AI for course coaching and facilitation of learning. AI for grading assessment of learning. As I mentioned this weekend, I saw the first example of an AI system for coaching and learning. Applied Tech has a AI system for teaching language, so you can learn English. And every student gets an automated system. They go through the speaking English. Every person speaks into it, and the professor has a screen and can see in percentages all of the students' authenticity of language use. And every student has a customized screen that shows where they missed certain words. This word wasn't pronounced properly, use the wrong accent here, etc. So I've seen that AI system work this past weekend. It's great. It's courses with online prompts. Course with no content. Zero content. Course content. It's very intelligent prompts that have been written by the professor. When you get to that section of the course, you click prompt. ChatGPT gives you a response to that question that's written by the professor. What does that mean? Things very. Look at the class you take. You take a class, use a textbook. The textbook might be 5 years old. 3 years before it was published. That makes sense. 7 or 8 years old. Your professor's knowledge might be 4 or 5 years old. If you had a course that auto creates itself every time it's taught, and it's current every single time for every section. So that's automated in asynchronous education. Students can learn as they need to learn. Okay, we're going to do an exercise. We don't have a lot of time. Okay. Sure, we're having time. We're 15 minutes. It's okay. We can do. Let's have friends. You should nod. If you don't, and you spend all your time with AI, that's probably not good. So pull yourselves into small groups for students around you. Through some prompt engineering. Does that make sense? So one of you has to have ChatGPT. One of the people in the group can use ChatGPT on your phone, and I want you to ask it something. Whatever it is, a problem, an issue, a paper you need, something. Make sense? Yeah. Let's choose something and enter it into ChatGPT and observe the output that you get. We got a slide that's not there. Start there. So you can. Okay. Just enter it into ChatGPT the way you use ChatGPT. Good. Something. topic. ChatGPT. Let's see. Cool. Now I'm doing that. Okay. Show you the 6 steps, 7 steps. Quickly go through the steps, and so do instruction specifically. So the difference between the two. So try to remember this response. Students with 2 ChatGPTs on it running. One try using just the regular instruction, and the second one we're going to prompt only instruction. Does that sound good? So we're going to go through the 6 steps. Instruction that's very specific. So you're going to ask it to write whatever you want as your instruction. You can tell it. Speech, write a paper, whatever it is. Ready? So we're not going to import yet. Define the output. Tell it that you want a 500 paper. Yes, so you have to tell ChatGPT what you're going to write lines for science and computer science, whatever the component this is. First presentation yes. Define the audience this talk to is written for. Something like for a very strict professor who's totally opposed to using AI to write papers. Start. There we go. Step 4. Specific step. So any knowledge or information you have that you want to add to this is really important. So if you know there's an article you've read recently, it's the newspaper here. It's an article that's not really specific. Researcher in this area, researcher by this researcher. Specificity. It's one of the reasons, by the way, complexity in ChatGPT. All the complexity to show research information, get information on complexity and takes notes. Then I use that for fewer prompts if I go into ChatGPT because I have some basic knowledge and information of keywords, websites, articles, or different types of things. Okay. So, is it for you? For a fourth-year computer science student in College in Chennai, India, on January the 8th. January 8th, 2024. So it sounds actually as basic as it is. So we follow the logic, right? So for future computer science student studying this college in general, what's it going to use? Since it becomes not involved, it's simple. For people in this area of the world, students who are writing papers, studying, writing, students like you. So in my case, I can put my name up because I speak around the world with lots of stuff. You. Does that make sense? But you need ChatGPT too. Okay. Yep. Somewhere ChatGPT is something called a curve in ChatGPT. So at the end, I say, look curve and cheat. Is that this is really important. So if I say, make sure it is at least 2,000 words in length. Does that make sense? And it says, oh, out of all the things you're asking me to do, that's an important one. Does that make sense? Make sure it includes search, publish, I've done this before. Make sure it includes research that's been published in the last 5 years. So I use this term, make sure, from ChatGPT. Make sure it does this, make sure it does that. And AI recognizes that as something you're saying is really important for you. Make sure it's written in an academic tone. Sure it's simple and understandable to both students. So that end of the ChatGPT, the make sure command for me I always use at the end. Focusing on what's most important to me in the output. It's like an oxymoron, there's no way, but it's actually pretty funny. Well, make sure it's got some jokes and has humor, and it adds an element to your output that's kind of cool. So you don't have to use this stuff if you don't want, but you can try it to see what you get. Just get to make a couple of mistakes, see what you get from the output, play with it, and see what happens. To you. Okay? Is that ready? Ready to enter? See what you got? Okay, so enter, get the output, let's see, and compare the two outputs. Okay? So taking oh, is it okay with thoughts? Will it work well? Yes. So, so as I talk about around the world today, as I talk about the four intelligences of Industry 5.0. Well, there's four that I discussed: emotional intelligence, cultural intelligence, green or environmental intelligence, and adaptive intelligence. What I'm teaching you is what we call adaptive intelligence. Adaptive intelligence is the ability humans have to direct the functions of machines. That makes sense? How intelligent are you getting the machine to do what you want it to do? It's a new type of intelligence. And I believe that might be the most important intelligence that this generation has to develop. Because in the future, working with machines. I can see teams of people working in offices where it's one person and eight assistants supporting learning, supporting sales, supporting other things. But how do you are at understanding how to direct and command the functions? Your human capacity. It's called adaptive intelligence. Small skill in adaptive intelligence. How do I increase the value of the generated output? And how long did that take us? Not very long. Two things you did today. One, you all downloaded Perplexity, and I hope you'll use it. I use it all the time, at least every day, multiple times a day. But if you Perplexity, you downloaded. Engineering. It's not hard. I'm going to talk about another thing that second exercise for you to do, but I don't think we have time. So I'll go through what I'm going to do, and you can try it on your own. So prompt engineering is based on singular input, singular output. Does that make sense? So I have go through my prompt engineering. I get a very curated. I customize my input. I get a curated response just for me. The output, the less likely it is for someone to say it's AI generated. Does that make sense? Because it's very specific now. It's very hard for people to say that's AI generated because you've now put in a whole bunch of your own information, your own knowledge to get that output. Does that make sense? You've had to do work. To say using AI properly saves you a ton of time, but doesn't reduce your intellectual investment. Right? You should be putting the same intellectual investment into and your thoughts and your ideas and getting them in your prompt. Get great up, and it's going to save you a ton of time, but it's not like you're sitting back on a chair pushing an AI button and getting anything you want out of it. Does that make sense? You're thinking it through your ideas. The second one we're going to talk about quickly, and then maybe I'll show you the PowerPoint generator. If you want to see that. Let's see. This is chain of thought. So I showed you prompt engineering, which is how you get good inputs. Chain of thought is how you build output using multiple inputs. Does that make sense? How many of you have used chain of thought? So chain of thought, ChatGPT, I use my prompt engineering, I push out a paper, a presentation, a speech or something, and I read it, and I go, it's okay, but it's not perfect. It's missing this whole area. Like I read it and I go, oh, it's kind of missing this whole area. What do I do? Well, you could go into ChatGPT and say, the same speech, please include any research on this and add it to my speech. Did you know that? And we will rewrite it and include that in. And then you can use thought. And you can say, oh, make sure that the research is current. The research current, and change all the research to current research. Chain of thought is where you have 6, 7 prompts layered to improve the quality of output. That's called chain of thought. So in chain of thought, what you're doing is you're using ChatGPT, developing a set of sequential steps for processing a topic, and then sequentially processing the topic through ChatGPT. Now, you can say, well, why would I do that? Well, the answer is pretty straightforward. ChatGPT and most language models are very general language models. Does that make sense? So imagine if I asked a language model to look at all the data points in English of a topic all around the world. It's a big topic. I might not know exactly what I'm going to get. Does that make sense? Like, I might not know what the output is. This could be such a big topic, like write about the nature of social services globally for the impoverished. You could get anything, soup to nuts. You could get everything from how we handle care packages in first world countries to how we distribute food aid by the United Nations. Does that make sense? So now you get that output. You can either throw it out. It's not what I want. Or you can say, refine the output focused on India, focus on Chennai, focus on this side, part of the world. And this is called chain of thought in AI. And it's very effective. I've used chain of thought a lot in ChatGPT. Chain of thought is used a lot when people create videos or create images. Often when you do it using AI, you don't see it exactly the way you want it the first time. You can ask it to make changes. So this, what we're going to do, your team was going to develop sequential steps for a topic. So instead of going and just having one prompt, you're going to develop 5 sequential steps. Does that make sense? Then you're going to start. Put the first prompt engineered response in. Go take a look at the output. Is it accurate? Is it not accurate? Is it good? Is it bad? What do I like? What do I don't like about it? You're going to do an evaluation. You're going to create the seconds of the second sequence of steps, put it in, generate the output, grading the first response with the second sequence. Does that make sense? You push it in, you do the evaluation. How does this look? Is it better? Right? Is it good? Is anything lost from the first one, but I don't want to get lost? And you keep going through that process until you finish all 5 prompts. So that's what we're going to do, but we don't have time today. You can try that on your own. It's not terribly complicated, and that process is called chain of thought. So if you walk out of the presentation now with 3 things, everyone understand what chain of thought is now? How you do that? Okay, so 3 things. Complexity, go use an AI generated search engine, right? When you go home. Prompt engineering. Section on ChatGPT and prompt engineering. Called the rundown, and it gives me a weekly feed of everything that's happening in the world and all the new stuff that's coming out. So you can go to, it teaches you all these kinds of things. But I've given you the first and most basic part of AI, which is prompt engineering and chain of thought. Are you ready to see prompt generator? Yes? No? Maybe so? Okay, here we go. Give me a sec. Still in Zoom? Did I click off the Zoom? No. I'm just finding the Zoom first. Here we go. I got it. First, I'm going to go back to Jenny because we didn't get to finish Jenny last time. I forgot we didn't finish it. So let's go back to it. Can everyone see it? Can you see Jenny? This is the one that's generating the paper. Who's running behind scenes. So can you see this now? Can you see that I can see Robinson here? You can see that? I can now see the paper that's generating this quote. Here again, there's 2 papers. So if I press accept, so I'm going to go down here. See the reference that's being created? The reference page is being created as I write. Okay. If I press accept for this sentence up here, I want you to watch. It's going to take be a delay. Can you see what's happened? You see my references are now included in the references? You good? Now let's say I don't want in April style. What if I want it in Harvard style? Changes the references and it changes everything in the paper. Let's say I want it written in Chicago manual style. Automatically changes it to Chicago. Does that make sense? So I can go back up to my paper, add the next sentence. Okay. Anyway, same one. So gives preference for new articles that have been written more recently. Let's see if it adds another. And if I do try again, see the try again function? Change that sentence. Sentence is gone. Gives me a new sentence. Make sense? I try again. Right? So this sentence is building on advances in deep learning, researchers have explained the use of lightweight models like YOLO 7 tiny for efficient vehicle detection. Did you know what that means? Okay, is that right? Okay, do you want to keep it? Yes? Okay, we'll keep it. Does that make sense? Oh, we'll change this one. There we go. These models seem to strike a balance between the accurate vehicle detection and the computational resources available for real-time autonomous driving applications. People are well suited for deployment in such scenarios. And my references section starts to build, and I can continue on and just keep writing the paper until I've got a full completed manuscript. Interesting? Okay, give me a sec, and I'm going to go to. Oh, there it is. Here we go. I'm going to choose the presentation on the same topic. Okay, so this is Repick. Companies and what presentation companies. They create presentations, they can create infographics. So if you like using infographics in presentations, generate infographics. You can also use it to create images, videos, pictures, and other kinds of things that are AI generated. So what was the topic again? Presentations I've created before. I probably have your presentation for this class in here somewhere. It's not a class, but okay. What was the topic again? Sorry? Choice on the type of PowerPoint. I like simple. Simple good? Oh, hang on. What type of Canva? Sure. What language? Is there any Indian languages here? Is Tamil here? Should we do Tamil? Who wants to see a Tamil presentation? Okay. Which one's, but I don't know which one's Tamil. Is that in Tamil? Tamil? That's Tamil? Okay. Sound good? Slides. Two? Sure, 13 is a good number? Okay. Simple meeting? Simple? This one's simple? It takes a little while. Oh, is the Tamil that threw that off or what? Looks like we didn't do the work. Sorry. We got the time, 10 minutes. Okay. Does anyone have any questions you'd like to ask? I couldn't get it to work. I'm sorry. You have to leave you hanging with a result that didn't work out properly. Next year. Sound good? We'll actually build something together and then we make it run like a taxi drone for Chennai. What do you think? That'll be fun. And does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask? Well, I'll finish up with a quick story. And then we have to wrap up. Quick story. My wife, I told you I have 6 children, right? So my first wife, I should say, my first wife, I only have one wife. So she's my last wife too. But she came to me, she's a social worker. She's been a social worker for 30 years. She's excellent at her job, really good. And they asked her to apply for a new role in the Ministry of Children and Family Development in Canada, which will be a role where she takes a lot of calls and deals with a lot of dispatch and interaction. So she said, sure, I'd like to take the job. And they said, oh, everyone has to be interviewed and has to pass this interview to get the job. And she said, she came down and she's really good at her job, like a really good social worker. And she's, I'm freaking out. She's like 50, I'm freaking out. I haven't done an interview for like 30 years for my job. Like I don't. And then they've got all these areas, like what would I do? And they've got 4 different topical areas, and she has to give real live examples of all this kind of stuff. Right? I don't know what I'm going to do. Presentation was happening. She hadn't slept for like 2 nights. She finally comes to me and says, I don't know what to do. And I said, ChatGPT. I said, well, put it into ChatGPT. Well, you can't because they're going to ask me for life examples. Blah, blah. I said, don't worry about it. So I'm sitting beside her in the bed. So she's sitting beside me. I'm sitting beside her. You can see, get this vision, right? 2 old people sitting in the bed. She's got a presentation like a young person. I'm on ChatGPT trying to help her. So the kind of weird situations there. So I'm sitting there and I'm typing and I say, okay, what's the first topic? And it's on ethical decision making, right? Topic. Okay. How would a social worker who works for the Ministry of Children and Family Development, who has 30 years of experience, manage an ethical dilemma related to? And she goes, oh, that's pretty good. And then I copied from the instructions they asked for directly in, exactly what they wanted for the results. And then I said, make sure, right? I customized it. Make sure what? Make sure to include a real life example of a social problem that's likely to be encountered by a social worker in the province of British Columbia, where we live. That makes sense? That's my make sure. So I press enter. Guess what happens? Perfectly worded description with an example. And she goes, oh, she's been a social worker for 30 years. Oh, I remember a case that's exactly like that. So we start editing it. We take out the hypothetical, put in the real life case, put the example of the situation, blah, blah, blah. Good. That's great. Next one, next one, next one. We give her, we'll go through every topic that she has to have. We find them. I sent them to her, right? Her email. She's got them. She goes into her presentation. What happens? She's not noticed. She finished her presentation. They said that's the best presentation we've had of anyone, best interview we've had of anyone for a job within the ministry for a long time. They said it was excellent. She got the job. She's been doing it now for years. She gets more money. It's all good. Here's the thing. AI is a tool. It's a tool that can be used for everything from learning how to become a better singer, image, to an artist trying to create better art, to a researcher and academic who is trying to work on the research and increase the productivity of the research and to come up with new ideas, to students who are trying to flourish and do well and find their place in the world, right? To a aged or late career social worker who's trying to plan for an interview that she hasn't done for 30 years. There are tools, all of those things, and there's far more tools than I know about. The key is this: the intelligence, the ability to leverage those tools to get the results you need is something you have to learn. And we'll end with this. How do you drive a car. I drive them. Now, I've got a son who's learning how to drive, take him to a parking lot late at night, drive around the parking lot. Is he a good driver? I was driving in the parking lot. AI, if you use it, I say use it every day. I use it every day, multiple times a day. I use it on my trips. I use it at home. I use it all the time. Why? The more I use it, the better I become at it. The better I understand its limitations, the better I understand its adaptive value. Does that make sense? I understand how to use it ethically. Now, how many of you have ever been in an accident in a car? You've had or someone else has had? How many? I've been in accidents. I've been in lots of accidents. Not mine. How many of you have ever read about accidents? How many of you ever heard about accidents? Right? How many of you ever seen them on TV? Does that stop you or your parents from driving their cars? No, because the value, the to get where you need to get is so important. Right? You still drive your car. Stop driving your car because occasionally there's an accident. Occasionally something goes wrong. Occasionally someone gets hurt. Does that make sense? You don't stop driving your car. Okay? It's the same with AI. Are there things that might go wrong? Are there ethical things that sometimes cause problems? Sure, sometimes. Does that make sense? But we don't stop stepping forward into the future of what's happening around the world just because there could be a chance that you might get into an accident. And it's the same with AI. I was glad to be with you today. I hope you enjoyed the session, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Laird, for this interesting interactive session. It definitely helped us understand and use AI tools efficiently and effectively. Now is the time for the next session. I hand over the session to Professor Jonathan Michael. And now we will have a short break, 10 minutes break. You can go for the refreshment and come back after 10 minutes and join for the next session. Thank you.